So we're less than 90 days away from the new year, and it's kind of hard to believe, I guess, but here's a question for you. How often do you practice emotional cleaning before a new season to be prepared for psychological wellness?
No, I definitely need to practice more. Here to discuss what it means to intentionally live well in the rest of this season and prepare for the next is therapist, motivational speaker, and best-selling author Michael McGill Jr. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning,
Thank
Houston.
you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Oh
The energy, the vibe, the kindness, the love. The therapist in me is just happy.
Oh, my
great.
goodness.
They were leaving an
We love it.
impression. That's
I'm
good.
feeling it too, because we were chatting a little bit before this, and I realized I need a little bit of these tips that you
We
have.
all do.
We all do, right?
Listen, as a therapist who goes to therapy, let me text Renee after I leave here, who goes to therapy regularly. This is about conditioning the mind for a new season. And we all, we live in a world where we are bombarded with information constantly. So we have to be intentional on conditioning the mind for goodness.
And that's hard.
How about it can be?
Okay, let's
But
change.
it is
Okay.
we're changing the
Yeah.
narrative. It can be hard,
Yes.
but there is a solution.
Okay, where do we start, would you say?
The very first thing I always say is start with a vision. You would be surprised, and maybe you wouldn't be, of how many folks go from season to season without a vision, without a plan, without some type of conduit to get them to where they want to be. And here's what I know to be true. We often perpetuate what we don't evaluate. So if you are consistently doing, have you ever met folks who go from relationship to relationship, job to job, boo thing to boo thing, friend to friend, whatever,
Yes.
perpetuating the same behaviors?
Yes.
It's because we often don't have a vision. Take time to figure out where you want to go, figure out who you want to be, figure out how to get there. That's important.
Yeah, so how do we find this vision? I mean, it has to be somewhere in us already, right? We just need to pull it out?
I wish it were that simple. But it means getting clear on really who you want to be and what it takes to get there. And we often don't do that enough. It means being intentional. Getting clarity on, and only you have the answer. Often we go searching, to our friends, to our lovers, to our families. You are the one with the answer to what your vision is.
And would you say, Michael, that it also is about finding maybe what your fears are and what your worries are,
Absolutely.
and maybe your childhood, and
it's all of that is interconnected. See, this is what I know. I have a background in psychotherapy, but I'm more of a psychoanalytic therapist, where I unpack how your thoughts impact your feelings impact your behavior, but also how your previous experiences impact where you are today. So as we think about this concept of going from one season to the next, 2023 to 2024, summer to fall, I often say, get therapy before the storm. We often go to therapy when something catastrophe, when a catastrophe happens. We often catastrophize and we seek a therapist as a resource. But what happens if you prepare, like in Houston, before a storm happens? What happens if you intentionally prepare for the storm before it happens? See, we have different parts of our brain. We have the limbic system, we have the animal brain, the amygdala, and that's always going off. But when you get therapy and support, you can kind of cut the animal brain off and get more to the frontal lobe, where you make those executive decision-making skills.
And I feel like the therapy is not a destination, it's the journey, right? It's not like it solves the problem forever. We're constantly evolving.
Therapy gives you awareness and tools, and it helps you to unpack your baggage. Listen, y'all, baggage exists amongst us all. We all have baggage. Here's what I know to be true about baggage. Think about it. If you keep clothes from the gym, y'all can see I'm buff, so I go to the gym. But if you think about those who have clothes from a gym bag, if you keep it in the closet, I don't care where you put it, you're going to eventually begin to smell it. If you put dirty clothes, dirty bags, trash, so it will eventually begin to rot and fester and seep. Listen, here's what I know to be true. Feelings buried alive don't die. They show up in other areas of your life. They show up in your marriages. They show up in how you parent. They show up in how you tend to yourself. And so one of the benefits of therapy as we're transitioning into a new season is it helps you to unpack your baggage. What did Erykah Badu say? I love it, where she goes, bag lady. Let me get my Houston debut. You gon' hurt your back. She says, you can't hurry up because you got too much stuff. One day, all those bags, they gonna get in your way.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Feel it.
Yes. And you got to be able to feel it in order to deal with it so you can heal from it. Feel, deal, heal. What I can feel, I can deal. And what I can deal with, oh, you best believe, baby, I can heal it.
Yes, and I think the biggest thing too is that anyone who's watching, if they feel like they're in a place and they're stuck in that place, there's always a way out.
There is. And sometimes we don't believe that, but here's what I know as a human being. I went from having a 400 credit score to an 800. I went from losing a house to having something else. Life is cyclical, and I'm sure as I keep living, I'll go through something else again. Life is seasonal and it's cyclical, but we have to remember the power of perspective taking. The power of perspective taking, knowing that nothing lasts forever. That if I can just put one foot in front of the other, going back to my frontal lobe, not being overwhelmed with all of the stuff I got to do to get the life I want. We often get overwhelmed, the analysis paralysis. We get paralyzed by all of the things we have to do. What if you consciously and ruthlessly take time to do one thing and then the next and then the next? Realizing that nothing lasts forever. But it's called the nature of impermanence. The good news is nothing lasts forever. The bad news is nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
You can get through this.
Yeah. Well said. Because we're running out of time, how can people connect with you and they want to hear more from you?
Yeah, I would love to. I love when people pour back into me because this is such fun work. But connect with me on social media at Michael McGill Jr. or, of course, at McGillSpeaks.com. I'd love to hear from you, check in with you.
I'm going to be calling you.
Please.
Step by step, right?
Step by step.
Yeah.
Please remember that. And the last thing I'll say is, as we go to this new season, always remember the power of being radically, ruthlessly, gently kind with yourself. That the world is already going to beat you up and be heavy. Why should you do it to yourself? What a sin and a shame and a curse. Be good to yourself.
Take that weight off yourself.
Right.
Absolutely.
Hey, let me go to the gym so I can take the weight off. Be good to yourself.
Michael, you're the best. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back.